Welcome to Torah Smash, the podcast for nerdy Jews, where our lives of Jewish learning collide with our love of nerd culture. In each episode, we discuss what we lovingly call a Torah Smash, which we have defined as a beautiful collision of one thing from the world of Judaism with another from nerd culture. I'm Ethan Lane Miller, and joining me today are
Barack Malkin.
RDY.
Y'all, how are you feeling today? Yesterday was the transition when a lot of folks get to experience the switch to daylight saving time. And I've always read about how...
Wait, I want to clarify our listeners. Don't worry, you didn't have a second daylight savings. On the day we're recording, yesterday was daylight savings. Don't get confused. Your clocks are fine.
That's true. I am recording from the past. And I've read all sorts of things about how that time switch wreaks havoc on people. Today, as you both know, it was a miserable traffic day, both driving to and from work. There were accidents, like clearly people were out of sorts. But yesterday I was just out of it. I ended up taking an hour and a half nap on the couch. My cat loved it. I basically never nap. Were y'all doing okay?
I nap every day.
I had to run a conference, and so I'm still exhausted.
I was also one time zone to the east over the weekend. So I had a 1 hour time change getting there, and then a 1 hour time change my second night there. Then it came back to a 1 hour time change the other direction. So I'm just all messed up.
I heard in my head a line finished your sentence, and I heard you say, I had a time zone to the east, and my head went, and a time zone to the west.
You put your hands on your hip.
Yeah.
It is a time warp.
Yeah.
So I found myself yesterday afternoon, which was the Sunday, listeners, just to help keep the timeline straight here, pun slightly intended. And I didn't know what to do. I wasn't feeling myself, and I was like, what's a video game I have sitting in my library that I should play? And so I logged on to my Steam Deck, took a look, and there it was. Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered Edition. It's been out for a little over a year now, and I thought, this is the opportunity to do it. So Star Wars Dark Forces, for those of you who are in the know, is a first-person shooter, came out in 1995. It's kind of like Doom, but Star Wars. So, lots of like 2D sprite animations. You play as Kyle Katarn, a mercenary for hire. He is one of the many people in the old convoluted Star Wars canon who stole the original Death Star plans. This is an iconic Star Wars game. It led to 3 subsequent video game sequels, including my absolute favorite Star Wars game, Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. So I logged in to play, and within 10 seconds, I was hooked. The graphics were kind of polished on up, but for me, it was the early 90s video game music and audio that was not really, I'm sure it was, polished up, but they didn't modernize it. It was that old feel, those of us who played games back in like the early to mid 90s.
The synthesizer.
Yeah, exactly. It was so great. Retro gaming with modern amenities, upgraded controls for the modern era, but the graphics are still using 2D sprites, but it's been optimized for current hardware. And what's cool is like some remasters, you have the ability to kind of cycle back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics. And it really, really shows the difference. So I ended up playing for an hour and a half, and it scratched the itch I needed. I loved every second of it. So that actually served as my inspiration for the Smash today.
Go on. What's your question?
That is the question.
Oh.
What might be the Jewish Smash?
So going meta to rephrase your situation on the couch, going back to find a new way to look at something that has given us comfort in the past, to find that it gives us more comfort today.
You're basically there, Barack. Do you want to put a spin on it?
The Torah?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So my kind of Jewish text here is Pirkei Avot, chapter 5, good old Rabbi Ben Bagbag.
Bean bag, oi mer.
So the quote is turn it over and turn it over, for all is therein, and look into it and become gray and old therein, and do not move away from it, for you have no better portion than it.
I love that text.
What do you love about it?
So in English, turn it and turn it is a little bit mundane, to borrow a phrase from a previous podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But in Hebrew, it's afoch ba v'afoch ba. Flip it. So it's not just turning the Torah, it's flipping it. You're like flipping through pages is how we would say it in a book that we're used to. But it's also flipping it on its head, because every time
Yeah.
you read it, we're trying to find more stuff. We're like trying to lift up new rocks to find out what's underneath where we haven't gone to look. And I think what's even more significant is that when we flip through the Torah scroll and we get back to the same thing we read last year this week, the scroll isn't any different, but we are. And
I love that interpretation so much. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I would suggest that's the same thing that happened with the video game. Like, you didn't want them to totally update the graphics and music and bring in Taylor Swift and all
I
that
mean,
stuff.
when I do think of Star Wars, I do think of Taylor Swift.
She is the first thing I think of whenever I think nerddom.
The Jedi, Taylor the Swift.
Oh, I seem to have cut you. That's okay. Just shake it off. You didn't want an updated, different version of what you were used to. You wanted what you played before, maybe cleaned up a little, maybe graphics improved, maybe sound cleaned up so it's not as fuzzy, but not different.
That's such a good distinction, and you worded it so well. It was the same sound, but not fuzzy. Like it was that clear synthesizer, early to mid '90s music.
Yeah.
I think Zelda. I would expand to say Nintendo, but Zelda does this a lot, right? When you play Zelda, the maps are the same essentially. You're in you're in the city of Hyrule. There's place for the volcano mountain and the water level and the desert level and all this like other areas. The characters are the same. They're just upgrading for the storyline. Mario does this a little bit. Donkey Kong did this. I wish they would do it with Banjo Kazooie. They have not yet done that with Banjo. I want Banjo Tooie to come out. It has never happened. Have you not played Banjo Kazooie?
Never
I see
heard of it.
RDY was shaking his. Neither of you have heard of Banjo Kazooie. This was
No, I've heard of it. I haven't played.
It was a N64 game, and it was a lot of fun. I found it to be a lot of fun, and they have not yet made a sequel or brought it back in any sense. There's, I think he appeared in a Smash Brothers, or he's going to be in Smash Brothers. I remember seeing a teaser where Banjo Kazooie were playable character. Anyway, I digress.
I believe he's in the latest Smash Brothers game.
Yeah. I think Nintendo does this a lot. Well, they will essentially play off of your nostalgia is what this is feeling like to me. Of giving you the things that you love again in a different way, but with some of the familiar.
It looks like, according to the interwebs, it looks like there have been 3 Banjo-Kazooie games. One of them was called Banjo-Tooie.
Did they? Am I totally wrong? Have I never
And
played
one of them
these?
was called Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Oh my God, have they come out and I didn't know?
But they're
So
on
this is a
different.
life-changing episode for Barack.
Oh my God. Are these available? Listeners, please let me know if I can get these on my Switch. We're done. I
Listeners,
probably, if by the time you
Barack.
do this, I will have downloaded and bought these games if they exist. Oh
Banjo
my God, they
Kazooie.
did. Oh, look at these.
Oh, we know what Barack's doing after this.
What can I
Banjo Kazooie
say?
is a character
Well,
playable in Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, how did I not? It came out 2 years after Banjo. Oh, you know what it was? No, I don't know why. Why didn't I play this?
Because of Y2K.
Guys, well, I bet they weren't good, which is probably why I didn't like dive into them. Y2K.
Please, Please apologize to your wife on my behalf for showing you that these video games exist and why she's not going to see you for the rest of the night.
I have to check this out. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope it's not going to be like a short-lived excitement. I will do some research first of like, are these games good? Should I buy them? And then I will.
Well, and this is part of the challenge, and part of this smash is it's also looking at these games through time from over like what 20 years ago.
Right.
Like Dark Forces at the time was a good game. It got good reviews. But like think about how it was back then. When you were playing on mouse and keyboard, it wasn't standardized to do the WASD keys for movement.
Mhm.
There wasn't a little target for you to aim, very naturally. We would look back on it now and be like, this is rough. Like, is Banjo-Kazooie going to live up to modern gaming standards, Barack?
Probably not. Like I enjoyed it because it's another one of those like level-based puzzle games like Zelda or the sandbox type Mario games like Mario 64. It had that just a different element to it. I can't imagine it's going to hold up. And I wonder, there's another retro game that I've been wanting to play for a long time. It's available on the Switch finally. It's the Kingdom Hearts series. And I remember I really wanted to play. For those who
Oh
aren't familiar,
man, those are retro now.
Kingdom Hearts was a combination of essentially Final Fantasy and Disney. You played as a Final Fantasy character with Disney NPCs along the road that you were encountering. And I really wanted to play it for a very long time. The graphics are terrible by today's standards for the first one. And I'm anxious about playing them and having a meh experience because it's not going to feel great compared to today. But as soon as me and my kid finish Tears of the Kingdom, I already know that I'm going to be playing Kingdom Hearts alongside of him.
Well, you can play Kingdom Hearts 3, which
I want one, two. Oh, I'm such a completionist. I cannot just start at 3. What happened before then? How do they become who they are? I'm not going to start my kids on How to Train Your Dragon 3. They're like, what? Why doesn't he have a leg? I'm not going to tell you
there's
that. You should have watched the first one.
I would like to also say I am not going to watch the live action How to Train Your Dragon, nor am I going to watch the live action Snow White.
Why won't you? The live action How to Train Your Dragon looks very good.
It seems so I'm just as an animal lover, I'm so offended that they would enslave that dragon and make him work in Hollywood.
He he moved to LA years ago. He finally got his big break. And you're going to shun him?
They're typecasting him. It's not right. Let him stretch his wings.
I was waiting for the bow. And it was good. So this brings such a good question. Why do we return to things over and over again in nerd culture? Why is there a live action How to Train Your Dragon? Why is there a live action Snow White? How many Fantastic Four films have there been in recent memory?
4.
Too many.
Too many.
But hopefully one good one to come.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping.
I think we're really into nostalgia lately. And I think the reason you keep seeing things like live action versions of movies we already have is that the people who are making movies now are the people who were watching movies then. And
Interesting.
that feeling that you got of watching this, like it really is the same, it just looks better and sounds better version of your game is what they're trying to do with these different versions of The Lion King and Snow White and The Jungle Book and How to Train Your Dragon and all these other things. They're trying to make them look better, really. And the same reason why, like, why Wicked is a two-part movie instead of a long one-part movie like the play was, they're adding some things from the book that the play missed. So they're like, hey, there's source material here that you might not be aware of. Let's dig a little deeper. And that's the same thing Ben Bagbag was doing. He wants us to dig a little deeper when we're turning it and turning it. We go back to the same forms of entertainment, but it's not different. We are.
What's fascinating is I think about the Spider-Man movies and how by the time we got to the Tom Holland Spider-Man, they very intentionally said, we don't need the origin story anymore. We've done that. Let's jump right into the action, which I actually found worked for them.
I'm going to push back and say that the Tom Holland trilogy was his origin story. Like we didn't see him get bitten, but he didn't become actual Spider-Man until the very end of No Way Home. That is a
Cool.
Spider-Man. That is a Spider-Man we know and love. We got his origin story just laid out very differently.
I
But
like that a
yeah.
lot.
I like that take. I also like it because
I-
my sister Elizabeth is a big Spider-Man fan, and I got to say things like, "Hey Liz, have you seen the most recent Spider-Man movie? Spider-Man 3, 2?"
What? I was thinking about in thinking about your question of and this turn of turn it again and again. And often when this quote is used, it's in sense of like we read the Torah every year, and every time we revisit it, we are new people, so the messaging is new. But it doesn't hit the same way for me with these like four Fantastic Four movies because some of them are bad. And that's not the message I've been given every time that quote is used. It's you've grown, so you're going to interpret this and it's going to hit differently. But then I guess I realize sometimes the messaging actually is when you read those portions year after year, they will hit differently. And, sometimes they won't hit. And that's different, right? Sometimes you get a message and you haven't changed very much in that area. And hearing it again just feels not powerful, not impactful. And I think that's what these were. And I think that's part of the issue. You said, why are we hearing these stories? It's because people really liked what the original messaging was, but they want to try to repackage it and make it something great. But they're taking away some of that meaning. And I think that when we do these so many times, it doesn't have to always be bad, right? There's so many Batman movies. We have so many Spider-Man movies. There's so many stories that are told and retold. How many, like, I know
The
we're
Dungeons
Jews.
and Dragons movies have only gotten better.
That's true. Oh, I just rewatched the original one with Marlon Wayans and Jeremy Irons on the
Sorry.
plane ride home. That was not that good. As a kid, I remember really liking it. Anyway,
A
I
plane is an airplane is the appropriate place to watch that.
anyway, I think now that quote hits differently for me in terms of just because you read something every year doesn't mean it's going to fully impact you and make it so meaningful every time. Sometimes you'll get a 2015 Fantastic Four feeling.
Yeah, sometimes. And I think there are some parts of, moving to the Jewish, there are some parts of Torah where we're like, we can only think of one message for this particular section of Torah. Like
Mhm.
this is rough. And there are that, this is also the bonus of being a rabbi at any particular place for 1 year, because then I can just use it again. But
Mhm.
but sometimes there are sections of the Torah that are so rich that you're like, man, I wish we had more than 1 week to talk about this.
The using it again for a new crowd, I have no problems with because yes, you've heard this stuff over and over again. You're not the one trying to be impacted or trying to have this feeling, right? Ethan and I'm sure have done this with kids and campers and youth groupers and board members. Of you've got a great program. That's what we're talking about. Like the initial time, those original stories hit big for a reason.
Yeah.
It's a new crowd. Let them experience that first time. Don't give them a remix that you don't know is fully tested.
And that's also the nature of, I've been trying to get out for some scholar in residence sessions, and that's the nature of what I do there. It's pretty much the same programming choices, but with different people. Same as when we have, we're having Isaac Brinjigar Bialik and his wife, Rabbi Shana Brinjigar Bialik, come and do their paper midrash program for our synagogue. And even though I've done it before, I know it's a great program and it's going to be just as exciting for me as it is for the people who've never done it before.
And I'm so excited.
You should come.
Oh, are you going
I'm
to that?
planning on it.
I'm so jealous.
I mean, RDY, send me some deets, but yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, May.
Good thing as a camp director, I have a lot of free time in May.
Yay.
Yeah.
That was sarcastic.
So I'll make time. You make time for the things that are important.
Yeah.
Um,
I think their last day is actually going to be Star Wars Day. So we'll make sure that May the 4th will be with you.
so they're leaving Texas before Cinco de Mayo?
I guess so.
Oh, all right.
I guess so. Guess so.
Uh, uh. So I think Barack, you're kind of hitting on something that there's a difference between a remaster and a retelling or a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the difference between the video game I played, like, Dark Forces Remastered, and the 2009 J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, which is a little bit more of a retelling, intentionally for a new, different audience. So, thinking about this Jewishly, I want to think about the Purim spiel. So, as RDY pointed out before this call started, his congregation did Wicked for Purim and mentioned it was probably a legal obligation amongst most congregations that they had to do Wicked this year.
I think so.
So is that a retelling, a reboot, or a remastering of the Torah story? When we do a spiel every year, but there's some differences.
Yeah, I consider it a disguising of the Purim story. The word Esther, and this
Great.
might,
So none of the above.
it's none of the above. But the word Esther comes from a root that means hidden. People like to say it means star because they only understand English and they've learned from people who only understand English. But in its roots from a different language, it means hidden. And Purim is all about hiding things. Esther hides her Judaism. The children walk around with costumes. The adults walk around with costumes, hiding their identity. We hide jelly and little cookies. So in the retelling of the Purim story, we're hiding it in a sometimes funny show.
He said it. It's a retelling. You've got your answer.
There you go. It's both.
Thank you very much, Barack. Purim spiel, is that a reboot or a remastering?
Or a retelling.
Or a retelling, yes.
I think it's a retelling. I think it's the same thing we're talking about. Like the original story is great, right? There's something in that basis of the RDY shaking his head no. Uh there's a good message underneath is what we're trying to get to. And some years you get some really great Purim spiels. Some years you get a 2015 Fantastic Four retelling of the Esther story.
Well said.
That joke doesn't hit the same the second time.
I think my favorite
remaster it.
I had to remaster it.
I think my favorite Purim spiel gag was when we did High School Musical and Heyman was Sharp Heyman.
Oh, that's funny.
That's
That was a
pretty
good one.
My favorite Purim spiel gag was when I was an associate rabbi and we cast the senior rabbi as Darth Vader in a Star Wars spiel. And for his entrance, we just full on played the first 2 minutes of Back in Black.
Mhm.
And he took 2 minutes to walk in for his entrance. It was absolutely beautiful.
I think one of my favorites, I wrote one that was Muppets themed. And so not part of the story, but I had on the side of the stage two people dressed as Statler and Waldorf commenting on the entire play. And it was fantastic. Like if you want breaking the audience like fourth wall jokes throughout the play, Statler and Waldorf are there primarily for that purpose. It was wonderful.
We did exactly the same thing one year, and I wrote the Muppet Spiel, and I was Statler, and the president was Waldorf.
Yeah, so good.
If you'd like to purchase any of these, go to torasmash.com to find our contact information. So thinking about Judaism and nerd culture, what are the things we want to keep the same? What are the things that bring us comfort when we turn it and turn it or flip it and flip it?
For me, like I have kids, and so what are the things that I'm trying to instill in them that were instilled in me? I would say it's really the values, the Jewish values that we have, repeating those over and over and utilizing them in new ways. That is to me probably the most important thing.
That's great. I also think that when we do things like say Shema, the prayer called Shema for Jason, when we recite Shema, we say the same words every time, sometimes a different melody, but certainly not the same intent every time. Like sometimes your head is really in the game and you're able to seriously pray. And sometimes you're thinking, oh God, I hope there's the cookie I like at the Oneg. And again, that's up to us. That is us coming to it differently each time. And there are some people who are very music attached, and if we do a particular melody for a prayer that's not the one that they needed, services could be ruined for them. And I'm the kind of person who likes to hear different melodies for the things that I'm used to because I want to know how is this melody going to bring me something new to these same words. So it's such a combination of like tweaking and keeping and sacred cows make great burgers, but some of them are just totally unchangeable.
I don't think I've heard that before. That's interesting.
It's the title of a book that I read about making change in holy spaces. It was written by a pastor. Can't remember the name of the author, but Sacred Cows Make Great Burgers is a very good book.
Um, Robert Kriegel.
Oh, is that who wrote it?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Just
Thanks.
wanted to cite him.
I just wanted to be clear that it wasn't my phrase.
Robert Kriegel and David Brandt.
And
Yeah, I
and
think
the correct title is Sacred Cows Make the Best Burgers.
yes.
Ooh.
So we have actually ourselves.
Yes, we.
Are there things we look forward to changing? I look forward
Yeah.
to the different Purim spiel themes. This year, I kind of knew what it was going to be for most people. I still look forward to it.
I always look forward when there's a new Zelda game. 100% I'm going to get it. I haven't played all of them in the history. There's a lot of Zelda games, but the last few have been really good. Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time. I know I skipped some in there, but those have been pretty golden.
I look forward to superhero movies, even when some of them are stinkers. Enough of them have been great that I have found myself able to lose myself in the ones that are meh. Maybe except for The Flash.
If you play the official Torah Smash drinking game, I'm sorry, I'm going to mention Star Trek one more time.
That's so good.
Yeah, I think of Star Trek Strange New Worlds that has been really trying to push Star Trek, and they started doing genre episodes. So in season 2, they did Star Trek's first ever musical episode, and it was legitimately one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek ever made. Like it was not a throwaway. And so the rumor is that in season 3 they're doing a murder mystery and they're continuing to kind of push the envelope of what it means to be Star Trek. And I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Nice.
I heard a similar response to the Angel episode where they were all puppets. And like everybody thought it was going to be so dumb, and it ended up
That was pretty
being
good. It was pretty good. Yeah.
There's so much I look forward to. And, as someone who's just regularly involved with people's life cycles and rituals, there's so much. I look forward to moments where I get to do this teaching or moments where we're gonna, read this particular trope symbol. There's a trope symbol called a shalshelet that only appears 3 times in the whole Torah. And a trope is that for Jason is the way we sing the Torah, how we chant it. And this particular symbol makes one word go and so what 3 moments of Torah are big enough to require that long drawn out sound? Yeah.
One of them was like right at the very beginning in Genesis, right?
I don't think so, but I'm going to look it up. Oh yeah, Genesis 19.
Yeah. I remember one of my friends from religious school, Ed, had that portion, and us being a bunch of nerds were so excited to attend his bar mitzvah. One, because it was fun, and two, we knew he was going to do that trope reading.
Yeah,
And he did great.
Oh, good. When I was in California, there was this particular congregant who loved to chant Shalshelet, and whenever those portions came up, she would try to make sure that she could chant Torah that day.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You know what things I look forward to? These recordings.
Oh, that's nice.
Aww.
I'm sorry, Barack, were you about to say something snarky? And I cut you off?
No, it's good. I don't have to say my thing.
Okay.
I think the piece that I'm struggling with is trying to make sure that it's something I look forward to that is a repeat scenario of a past thing. Right? This podcast recording is a great example. Like it's the same thing, but it's going to be different every time. And what are other nerdy things that I look forward to that have the same my game nights? I like those. Right?
Yeah.
That is something I look forward to. It's going to be different. We have gotten up to like 15 to 20 people in my basement once a month, which is a big crowd. So different feels every time. Sometimes it's going to, I think not even it's going to be a hit or win. Like who knows what the meshing of these people is going to be, but it's everybody
And
has a good time.
and the game changes and
Yeah. Right. New games come out, new
Yeah.
players. Yeah.
In addition to these podcasts, I have often said in interviews that there are things that I do that keep my sanity that I don't do with the congregation, but that are regular things that I look forward to. And one is this podcast. Another is my chevruta with my Daf Yomi group. We've been studying a page of Talmud every day for the last 5 years, and after 7.5 years, we will have read the entire Talmud together. And then my D&D group. So these are things that, just like Ethan said, it's a little different every time, but it's the same pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of these things give me sanity. So I appreciate your part in that.
So aside from my board game monthly thing, which has like a lot of people on the invite list, my nerd dad group, we get together very regularly, like in the evenings after the kids go to sleep, as a way to, as you just said, like help keep our sanity with things in the world. It's really nice. I don't know what we're gonna do each time. We usually play board games, but it's just the conversations are great and it helps to ground me.
I can't plan when this happens, but I love it when a kid or a staff member asks me something I've never been asked before. I really do.
Yeah, I guess that's the same thing. It's a new question, right? The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do like, as much as some of the properties are struggling, I do really like when, like the Marvel movies, for example, have these insane callbacks to movies from the 90s or the thousands, or even like something, a year or two ago. I do enjoy a good nostalgia throwback of like you're on the fact that I've seen all of them, like the inner circle of nerd stuff, and you feel like that's made for you, even if it may not be great when it hits, it feels good, man. Channing Tatum as Gambit, such a loss. I was so
Oh,
sad it didn't happen, but man, I loved it when he hit that screen. However weird that southern accent is that he made for it.
Look, we live in the day and age when we were years ago saying the same thing about Deadpool. Oh man, such a shame that didn't happen.
Yeah.
this is true.
Yeah, or it didn't happen well, right? And then they made fun of that and they called it back and it was good. Those felt good. I like those callbacks.
Yeah. So
Unlike the 2015 Fantastic Four movie.
three times. Just
That's
keep
it.
drilling it. It's gonna land. All right. Well, for me, I don't mind the current era we're in. Please keep the remasters coming. And please, please, please remaster Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight.
They're listening. Don't worry.
They're among our dozens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. Is this it?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's wrap this up. That'll do it for this episode of Torah Smash. Our fiscal sponsor is Jewish Creativity International. Our theme music was created by Sean Fogel. You can check out Sean's bands and studio work at www.thesleepywest.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps others find us and is an excellent way to support the podcast. We want to hear from you and continue today's nerdy discussion. Go to torahsmash.com to find where to connect with us online, purchase swag from our store, support us with a donation, find previous episodes, and more. And on Rosh Hashanah, what's every gamer's New Year resolution? 1280 by 720.
Sorry, I got lost in the joke.
RDY found his joke too funny.
I did. Crap.
And you still have the bop bop like it's still there. You still have that melody in the background.